Adaejah Hodge just broke a record set by an Olympic champion. Days earlier, Jamaica looked untouchable, running the two fastest times anyone had seen. Then this 20-year-old stepped on the track and rewrote the entire story. Here's exactly how Hodge shocked the 200-meter world. The women's 200 meters at the Commonwealth Games kicked off with 6 heats, and the format was brutal. There were no automatic qualifying spots in every heat. Athletes had to fight for one of just 17 places based purely on time. That meant even a great run could still end in disappointment if someone else ran faster in a later heat. The opening heat set the tone early. Beyoncé DeFratis of the British Virgin Islands crossed the line first in 23.25 seconds, a smooth and controlled run. Scotland's Alison Bell finished right behind her with a season's best of 23:38, and the home crowd roared for her. But the heat also delivered heartbreak. Gambia's Sai looked strong through the finish, clocking what seemed like third place, only to be disqualified for stepping on the inside line. One small mistake wiped out her entire run. Heat 2 brought the first real fireworks. Australia's Mia Gross exploded off the final bend and powered through the home stretch to win in 23.21 seconds, the fastest time of the morning at that point. Kenya's Millicent Enduro chased hard from a tricky inside lane and still managed second at 23:45. It was proof that lane draws don't decide everything. Effort and timing mattered just as much. Then Heat 5 happened, and the entire complexion of the competition changed. Lavanya Williams of Jamaica stepped onto the track and looked calm from the very first second. When the gun fired, she exploded out of the blocks and attacked the bend with total control. By the time she hit the home straight, she was already pulling clear of the field. She crossed the line in 22.91 seconds, becoming the first athlete in the entire competition to break the 23-second barrier. Heat 6 arrived, and Alana Reid took her turn to shine. Reid had already beaten Williams at the Jamaican National Championships to earn her spot in this event, and she carried that same confidence onto the track. From the gun, she controlled the race with total composure, holding her form through the curve. In the final 50 meters, she pulled clear of the field and crossed the line in 22.95 seconds, the second sub-23-second run of the entire round. Both of the fastest times in the heats belonged to Jamaica. Canada's Sade Frederick also advanced with a strong, determined run, and athletes from Australia, Scotland, Singapore, and the British Virgin Islands kept the semi-final field wide open. But it was Jamaica that walked away from the heats with the loudest statement. Williams and Reid had run the two fastest times in the entire field, and neither of them looked like she was at her limit doing it. 2 days later, the semi-finals told a very different story. Adaejah Hodge, a 20-year-old from the British Virgin Islands, lined up in the second semi-final and simply exploded. She crossed the line in 22.1 seconds, a time that didn't just win her heat. It broke the Commonwealth Games record, taking 1/100th of a second off the mark set by 5-time Olympic gold medalist Elaine Thompson-Herah back in 2022. Jamaica's Ashanti Moore ran the next fastest time behind her at 22:49, while Singapore's Veronica Pereira advanced in a season's best of 22:81, becoming the first Singaporean sprinter ever to reach an individual final at this event. In the opening semi-final, Australia's Tori Lewis and Jamaica's Alana Reid crossed the line together, both timed at 22.64, punching their tickets straight through. England's Success Edwin also advanced on time with 22:65, but Lavanya Williams, the woman who had run the fastest time of the entire heat round just 2 days earlier, hit a wall. In the third semifinal, Trinidad and Tobago's Shaniqua Bascom blazed to a personal best of 22:31 to win. Williams crossed the line second in 22:71, enough to keep her season alive. But suddenly, the fastest woman from the heats was no longer the fastest woman in the building. Hodge had completely rewritten the story. That set up a final loaded with pressure. Hodge came in as the runaway favorite after her record-breaking semi-final. Bascom had shown she could match strides with her. Reid and Moore represented Jamaica's best remaining shot at gold. Pereira carried the weight of an entire nation's first-ever appearance in this final. And Williams, still just 20 years old herself, had one more shot to prove her heat time wasn't a fluke. When the gun fired for the final, Hodge ran out of lane 6 like she already knew how this would end. She powered through the bend with total control and hit the home straight in the lead. Bascom tried to answer. The Trinidadian pulled level with Hodge coming off the turn and gave everything she had down the stretch, refusing to fold. But Hodge held her form perfectly under that pressure. She crossed the line first in 22.07 seconds, comfortably ahead at the finish, and became the first woman in British Virgin Islands history to win a Commonwealth Games athletics title. Bascom crossed second for silver in 22:35. And right behind her, Jamaica's Alana Reid held on for bronze, finishing in 22:56 to secure a medal for her country after leading the entire field through the heat round. Think about the full arc of that story. Jamaica opened this event by producing the two fastest sprinters on the track, a statement that made the rest of the field sit up and take notice. For one morning, it genuinely looked like Jamaica was about to sweep this event from start to finish. But track and field never hands anyone a guarantee. A 20-year-old from a nation that had never won gold in this event before showed up 2 days later and ran a time nobody else could touch. Hodge didn't just win. She broke a record set by one of the greatest sprinters of this generation, then backed it up under final pressure with the fastest run of her life on the biggest stage. Reid still walked away with a medal, proving Jamaica's early speed was real. Bascom proved Trinidad and Tobago belonged in this conversation. And Williams, despite missing the podium, leaves this competition having run the fastest heat time in the field, a signal her best days are still ahead. This is exactly why the heats never tell the whole story. Fast times early can build enormous belief, but they can just as easily set an impossibly high bar for everyone chasing it, including the athletes who set it. Jamaica came in loud. Hodge answered louder. And in the end, the fastest woman in the building wasn't the one anybody expected 2 days earlier. Look closer at Hodge's path here, because it makes the shock even bigger. Just 2 days before that semifinal, she was one name among many in a stacked field, nowhere near the spotlight that Williams and Reid were getting. Hodge didn't fall into that trap. After the race, however, celebration quickly gave way to controversy. The victory marked Hodge's major return following a 17-month AIU doping suspension, casting a visible shadow over her record-breaking performance. At the finish line, Bascom left Glasgow with real reason for optimism too, pushing through the heavy atmosphere to claim silver with a personal best. So here's the real takeaway, and Adaejah Hodge has put her name permanently into Commonwealth Games history, a 20-year-old who turned one explosive week into a legacy that will follow her for the rest of her career.